don't be spiritually dull. Be aware of what company you keep. Be aware of what counsel you seek. And thirdly, be aware of the risks you take. Observe that Jehoshaphat unnecessarily placed his own life in peril. He had heard the counsel of the Lord's prophet, and he went to war anyway. On the way to war, the king of Israel, who heard the Lord's counsel and understood it, figured he could outsmart the Lord. And so he says to Jehoshaphat, I'm going to go into battle in disguise. You go into battle in the king's garments. And Jehoshaphat was okay with that. What planet is he on? He is spiritually dull in this moment. He's more than spiritually dull. And so everybody sees Jehoshaphat and goes after him. Kill the king. But God's not going to be outsmarted, by the way. A guy randomly pulls his bow and arrow and shoots into the air. Must have been someone in my likeness. And rather than the arrow being stuck in his neighbor's roof, it goes between the breastplate and the chainmail in King Ahab's armor and pierces him mortally so that he dies. The Lord wasn't fooled by his disguise. And perchance someone pulls his bow back and shoots an arrow. He wasn't going to go back to his battalion commander of the archers with arrows left in his quiver. He was going to empty it. Jehoshaphat unnecessarily placed his own life at risk. Jehoshaphat also unnecessarily exposed others' lives to harm. He knew God's word and he didn't heed it. And the text reads, the battle raged all day long. When Jehoshaphat got back to Jerusalem, how many grieving widows were going to have to hear the news that their husband had perished in battle? And how would they feel if they had learned that the Lord had said the outcome of the battle before it was engaged, and the king went ahead and went to battle anyway, because he had promised King Ahab he would? And Jehoshaphat foolishly squandered God's favor. He had been enjoying God's favor. That's why he was enjoying peace as a king. That's why he was enjoying prosperity as a king. And now he would squander it. And in the midst of battle, when it looks like he's going to perish, he cries out, Lord, help me. And the Lord helps him. But he was presuming upon God's grace. Isn't that like so many of us? I've been there. You know, I can remember as a student not studying all semester. And then getting to the final week of the semester and saying, boy, I've got a lot to get done. Lord, help me. And I passed. It's a good thing I'm not a surgeon. That's not my approach for all of my classes. That was my approach for some of my classes. But that's the way some of us are in life, too. We just are going to live our lives on our terms, our way, until it's tough and we're in trouble and we're in a tight spot. And we're going to say, Lord, help me. And we presume on his grace. This account is preserved by the chronicler of the Kings as a warning. for God's people and for leaders of God's people, that we must trust the Lord completely and avoid keeping company with and forming alliances with the ungodly, and seeking God's counsel and heeding God's counsel, because there are consequences for ignoring God's counsel.